Ayo, microphone checker.
Can you do me a
1, 2, 3. Now I remember in the very early days trying to get a good recording of the band, and I think we tried 4 times to get recordings before we were happy. We did sessions in a studio. Then I remember we set up in a friend's house in Cork Bay. We set up the whole room, just us, and we recorded, and it actually sounded like pretty fun. It sounded like quite a good live experience. We realized, okay, we need live performance in a space with good gear, good mixing, mastering, and pre-production, and that's what led us to initially working with Simon Radcliffe at Sound Motion Studios, who was really good at all of the above. So we worked with him on pre-production, full live sessions, and then he still did the mixing and all the mastering. And that was the first album. And the second album, we did half with Simon, half with Jurgen van Wegmar. And then, you know, things changed. We got hit with lockdown, money was scarce, and that's why I decided that it would be best for us to sign this record deal in order to have the space to record.
I think one of the best things about recording Out and About was that we had a full day of studio time just to prep the studio, which was amazing. And then we had, I can't remember exactly how many days, but it was about 4 days or so, or maybe even 5, of actual recording. And we were able to dedicate real amounts of time to polishing off things that we wanted, doing at least 2 takes or something of everything that we wanted to. And yeah, and everything, we also rehearsed a lot up into the process so that we knew exactly which tracks we were going to do on which day, for additional things like layers of percussion and stuff, we had planned out everything. And yeah, I thought that was a really, really cool experience where everybody came away feeling like, cool, I got my take.
And I think we did it well. We were super organized, you know, Jono's notions and his airtables, it really helped us out. We were organized, and I think we stuck to a schedule, but left enough space for us to be creative, space to add extra percussion, to add extra vocals, to take a little bit more time to punch in some solos and extra parts to really fill the album out. So I think we did a great job, and I enjoyed it. I feel like I could live there for, you know, several months of the year, just park out and record albums.
It was different for sure, because I think we'd had more time to like go away and write tunes together. You know, we spent a lot of time writing that music, and I think it was also the first time we'd written music specifically for the album, not just a new tune which we were then going to record. Because I think that was the different process with writing during lockdown. We're writing this album specifically for an album.
It was super great to be in the space with the guys for 4 days, I remember. It was definitely comfortable. It didn't feel at any point like I was doing a job, you know. It just felt like I was in a space with my boys, and we were just doing the things that we've been doing.
It was a very live feel, and trying to capture that energy in studio was always going to be a challenge. But yeah, I mean, I'm very proud of how it all turned out, and using the studio to kind of its maximum capacity with, you know, isolating instruments in different rooms and trying to do the whole thing live was real fun.
I mean, Out and About is an easier one to explain than the rest, because essentially it just talks about being locked down during COVID and needing to get out again, and the kind of energy behind the gusto we had in saying we're not going to give up, we're going to keep going. We wrote that album during lockdown when it was possible. We recorded it in the later stages of lockdown when it was possible. So when lockdown ended, we had a fresh album, it came out.
For us, the music is so much about the live performance. Like, all of our energy is really put into the live performance, and the album is a way to wrap that up in a way for people to take home with them.
I guess it's not that physical, is it? We didn't print any CDs.
And to sort of, just to remember those moments where we've had like an awesome party and these sort of unique live performances that we do.
I think it was the first time we played the tune at that street party outside Tassa Machines, and people looked up when they heard the lyrics because there was something so relatable that we want to be out and about. Whenever the song comes on, people can relate to it. You know, here we are 4 years after the lockdown, and it's still a relatable topic. It's still something that people can almost reminisce about.
I actually don't think we discussed a specific idea. I think it was just from me listening to the song. Yeah, that was sort of that's where you start, right? Is started seeing these elements, you know, and obviously COVID played a role, and I thought it would be funny if COVID was portrayed as like a Godzilla type creature that came to Cape Town. I watched the animation after I watched Nomads show this weekend again, and I'm still really chuffed with the caricatures because I think they're so stylized, and I still think they really capture the personalities of the guys.
By the time people have seen you, there's almost an expectation that you guys are a bit mad and weird and out there, which is cool.
This tune came out of just thinking about what I wanted Nomads to sound like, or at least what they sounded like to me when I'd listened to them before. How do we get into that old school Balkan feel, but still like keep it groovy, keep it sexual, you know? To be nomadic, you have to leave things behind. You can't hold on to everything.
I love leaving it behind because it is just such a nice, mellow, bouncy, jammy tune, and I absolutely love my solo feature on it and how it feels when we play it on stage.
Inky, pinky, funky. We flesh the songs out over time, like differently on gigs. So what you get in the studio is not exactly what you're going to get live. You're probably going to get more live. Things get fleshed out. We take longer solos. There's more interplay. I'm always talking a whole bunch of to Lillian and Andrew while I'm playing, and there's all of that energy that happens live that you just absolutely can't capture in a studio. I think we do our best, but you just never really can capture that interaction between the band members and also between the band members and the crowd. They just feed us a certain type of energy.
I think I started out very much checking out what the band was doing already, and I was learning drum parts by drummers that I loved, like Unity and Marlon and Andre. It was like learning all their parts was cool for me from a learning perspective, but I think things changed when I started bringing compositions to the band. One is just out there and we see what melody comes, and if it's a bit more meaningful and expressive, then it goes to one side. And then the other side of writing is like, hey, this is catchy, this is dancey, and that's more the side I'd take to Nomads. You know, on the one hand, sometimes I bring too little and I go, let's see where this goes. So there's not enough direction, so it can go like, because I mean, 5 people's ideas for where a song can go is a lot. At the same time, sometimes that's where the magic happens. It's like, let's play it. You know, we always say sometimes some of the best music we make is during our sound checks, because we just start playing a riff and grooving off it and seeing where it goes, and it feels like a new song, but we never press record. I often bring weird things to the band.
Ooh, Madosini. I really like the role that Madosini played in our musical journey. It was in a time before we really started getting rolling. It was when a lot of the old members had left to go on to other journeys, and we were just rebuilding the band. And we had 2 drummers at that time. One was Lumanyano MZ and Andre Schwartz, and they both had this amazing feel for Afrobeat playing, for more African style of drumming. And when we were talking about the new direction and where do we want to go, in a way that is natural, this feeling of the African flavor, the Afro beat, that became the holistic thing. So Lumanyano brought the idea.
With Madosini, you know, I mean, that was, I think, between Unity and Jono that really came up with the melody, and you know, being based off that bow sound which Matt nails on the guitar and Javi on the sax on the out, those overtones and stuff. I mean, it was cool to recreate that kind of sound, that traditional African sound, because I feel like, you know, as much as we're based on the Balkan sound, we are also very much South African and Cape Townian specifically. So I think it's cool to explore those sounds at the same time, because that's what Madosini did. All the melody, you know, comes in with that Balkanish melody.
And obviously the name Madosini is a tribute to the late Madosini, the African bow player who we all appreciate musically, and she had to work every day. And I think at the time we wrote it, there was quite a big movement around supporting her and her family in order to help her afford a place to live. So we put this out earlier than the album in order to raise some funds on her behalf. Unfortunately, she did pass away quite recently, which is very sad, but that song will always be quite near my heart, because I mean, Lumanyano is a great friend of the band, and he's in Boston now trying to make his career even bigger and better, which we all support and respect.
Are you sure it's recording? Okay, because I've done that before. So The process with Tam Tam is a long one. I think it was the first song that we started writing as the new group when I joined the band, myself and Andrew. And we kept having drummers leave the band, and that always halted the progress of that writing. We had to go back to square one and go like, let's just learn a set and hold the writing off for a little bit.
We tried to record it twice, I think, before the album, and each time we didn't quite get what we wanted out of it, and we finally got what we wanted on this album.
When it gets down to it, you need the experience with each other if you really want to like write well. And I think that's what our intention was with Tam Tam. It's like, there's something there that's great, that's cool, but it's just like not quite there yet. We never really got to the finish line.
I think it's got such strong like arrangements and groove and melodic ideas.
Tam Tam, the groove, I just watching people dance. That's my thing always with music is, and especially working with bands, is like I'm watching the crowd, and these are the songs that people are connecting with.
Kind of being weird on stage, Dad.
As far as like where does the song come from, it came from a question. They were saying, can we put in some more African influence into Nomadic Orchestra? And can we make something that has a 6/8 feel, still dance in a way that suits Nomads? And I took that as a challenge. Yeah, I just started listening to music, trying to gain some influences, and came up with a simple chord progression and a melody. And I brought that to the band immediately, just that one chord progression and the melody, and we jammed through it, played a bunch of things around it, improvising, and that's kind of where it stuck for at least a year. And we all had different input on how the song should progress, but it was my idea after maybe that year to go, let me like actually put a structure down where it moves into 4/4. There's a solo, there's a breakdown. The breakdown wasn't necessarily my idea. We didn't use the same idea that I had initially, but the breakdown idea was there. And for it to come back into 6/8 before finishing in 4/4 again. So a lot of the structure was there and was my idea, and took a long time to convince the band that that was a structure that we should use. But I think as we slowly added input from the rest of the band on the breakdown and that melody that came out of it, and the hits that happen later as the melody progresses, that structure really seemed to tie it all together and give it some excitement.
Well, there's all this stuff in our brains. We might as well put it into music, because that's what we do and that's what we're good at. And just kind of sit and enjoy each other's company. Let's make some music. Whatever happens, whatever noises come, let's do it. Let's see what happens.